You know when something so outrageous happens that you literally have to take a physical step back and go, are you kidding me right now? Yeah, that's what the finale of She-Hulk feels like. Hey y'all, Snarky J Cosplay here. We finally made it. Guys, we did it. We made it through 9 weeks of She-Hulk. Now, those of y'all that have been watching my reviews from the very beginning have seen me go from cautiously optimistic to absolutely unhinged, from gentle ratings to 0 on last week's episode. And you know, for a second there, I thought maybe I'm being too harsh, right? I took a step back. I decided to meditate and think about what it was that really bothers me about this show. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna approach the finale with an entirely new viewpoint. I'm gonna come at this fresh-minded, open-minded, and ready to accept She-Hulk after all this time into my heart. With that said, I'd like to start off with my rating for this episode of She-Hulk, which is a whopping -10 out of 10. That's right, I'm not kidding anymore. This finale was so outrageously bad that not only am I giving it a negative number, which is a little outrageous, but I'm giving it a -10, because that's how outrageous this episode was to me. If this finale wasn't bad enough as a standalone piece of content, it also means that this entire series that we collectively dedicated 9 weeks of our time to was a tremendous waste of time. A literal pointless cameo fest filled with bad dialogue, stereotypical characters, and more than that, the antagonization of the entire dedicated MCU fanbase. She-Hulk is without a doubt the worst thing Marvel has ever put out. And you know what? They're proud they made it. You know why? Because you and me sat through this entire thing, happily paying our Disney Plus fees just to come on YouTube and complain to each other about how terrible it was. And beyond that, they know they'll have us back in theaters to watch anything she's in anyways. Like I said, I am rating this literal nightmare of an episode a -10 out of 10, and that's all I can really say without spoiling it, which honestly, how do you spoil something this rotten, right? But let's get into it. From this point on, there will be spoilers for the finale of She-Hulk. You've been warned. This episode opens on a reimagining of Jen's story in what seems to be inspired by 80s sitcoms and like old horror movies, and it sort of pokes fun at even Lou Ferrigno's Hulk because the makeup is awful in this. It turns out to just be a bad dream that Jen is having, and she's having this dream in the same prison that Emil Blonsky was held in at the beginning of the show. Enter her personal cheerleader, Nikki, resident nice guy and sneakerhead Pug, and the face that never lost a case, Mallory Book. Jen immediately asks if they've called Bruce because he would definitely know how to handle this. It's clear her focus is on bringing the perpetrators to justice. However, Mallory's viewpoint is completely different. She says that they've got to work on Jen's case specifically. She was baited at that gala and she took the bait, and the audience just saw an angry Hulk. Jen tries to defend herself by saying she was angry, and that's what any reasonable person would do, which is adorable coming from Little Miss.
I'm an expert at controlling my anger because I do it infinitely more than you.
Mallory tells her that she's been offered a plea deal. They won't pursue any charges for having made a mess of that gala venue if she quickly accepts that plea deal, and it turns out the if is if she never transforms into She-Hulk again, and we see that she's now got an inhibitor much like the one Emil Blonsky has. Her parents arrive to pick her up at prison, ever the supportive Nimrods they've been since the first time we met them, letting her know that hey, people go to prison every day. From here we're treated to another sequence of Jen's life falling apart. She loses her job, the media is in a frenzy about her, she loses her apartment and ends up having to move back in with her parents. If anybody wants to pitch in to buy balloons or a tray of pastelitos for her pity party, let me know. From here we cut to Nikki and Jen at Jen's parents' house. Jen has created a very serial killer-like poster board with leads, trying to figure out who these intelligentsia guys are. I'm not saying it reminds me of this.
You just know Pepe Sylvia. The man does not exist, okay? So I decided, buddy, I gotta dig a little deeper. There's no Pepe Sylvia, you gotta be kidding me! I got boxes full of Pepe!
But yeah, I'm saying it reminds me of this. We're interrupted by Jen's mom showing Nikki a video of Jen going ham and dancing in college because she's just like us, guys. And her parents are just so adorable and relatable, especially when her dad is literally spraying a hose at members of the media and telling them he doesn't care there's a drought. I guess the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Anyways, Nikki then pulls up another video of Dennis. You remember Dennis, right? Jen's disgusting male coworker from the other office she used to work at? Yeah, that Dennis. He's now on the news lying about having dated Jen for an extended period of time and that she was psycho long before she got the superpowers. You'd think that this would connect to some other moment in the episode, but I'm gonna tell you right now, it doesn't. It serves only as a reminder that, hey, guys suck. Jen retreats to her room and complains to the audience about how she's just getting screwed over again, and she decides to text Emil Blonsky about taking a few days at his retreat. After all, she needs a mental health break. She decides to head out on that trip before he even responds. Meanwhile, Nikki posts that video of Jen in college on Intelligentsia and is immediately messaged about a private event being hosted by Hulk King. Whatever happened to the first rule of Fight Club being not talking about Fight Club? You would think that these guys that are doing all this dastardly stuff would definitely try to keep things a little more low-key, especially when they do everything on a website that's really easy to make a frickin' account on. But whatever, expecting logic from any part of this show, much less the villains, is just, it's too much at this point. It's too much. Jen is greeted by Wrecker when she arrives at the retreat, while Nikki and Pug arrive at the Intelligentsia event. Obviously, Pug has to go in on Nikki's behalf because there's no women in this Intelligentsia meeting. Who knew? When Pug goes in, the complaints are all stereotypical evil male MCU fan complaints. Why does there need to be a She-Hulk? Lady Thor just sucks, and I'd have the same complaints if it was a man. That female heroes have too many emotions, blah blah blah. Pug has to play the part of agreeing with them. And when Todd recognizes him there, he's so excited to see him that he announced to the whole group that this guy rocks and he's hot. They all gather in a big sweaty circle to talk about how terrible She-Hulk is, how she didn't even earn her powers, and Pug has to play along. They even go as far as to say that she definitely boned Mr. Holloway, her boss. It's in this conversation that Todd reveals that, shocker, he's the guy that started Intelligentsia and he's Hulk King. He then calls a meeting where he says how proud he is to have been the one to hack She-Hulk's phone. Another shocker. At the retreat, Jen asks Wrecker where Blonsky is, and he tells her that he's at the lodge for some kind of event. Are you putting these pieces together? Yes, the Intelligentsia event is taking place at the lodge, and that is where Emil Blonsky is gonna speak. In CGI, just as bad as the rest of the show, we see Abomination appear at the lodge. As he begins to address the Intelligentsia crowd, Jen walks in and is shocked to find that he's in Abomination form. He says he's been transforming into him just for gigs to make some money, which again, is he not wearing an inhibitor that went off and attracted the attention of his parole officer in an episode? Todd starts boasting about how he took and synthesized her blood so that he could have the powers that she never earned. And yes, he injects himself with some green stuff and transforms into what I'm gonna call Todd Hulk. Jen breaks the fourth wall to address how nuts this is, while Todd yells, "Come at me, bro," like we're still stuck in 2016. In the midst of this, Titania comes busting through the wall for no reason, and while Abomination is trying to defend baby Jen from Todd Hulk, in comes Bruce Banner as Smart Hulk to come and save his cousin. And right here, Jen says the first and only sensible thing she has said all season. These storylines don't make any sense. And right when I'm thinking I'm gonna agree with her and something good is gonna happen, as it usually does with She-Hulk, this all goes to the show cuts to the menu and I'm thinking, oh my god, am I off the hook early? No, we just see a little CGI Jen break through the title of She-Hulk and jump into the behind-the-scenes Marvel show called Marvel Assembled. We get to watch Jen walk through a studio lot and through a door marked She-Hulk production, where she takes it upon herself to question the writers on how stupid this finale is turning out to be. The incredible Jessica Gao and the other writers immediately defend their choices, after After all, these are just things that happen in superhero shows, and this is the ending that Kevin wanted. So Jen insists upon going to meet with the all-powerful Kevin. I swear, I physically cannot make this up. I've had some bad ideas in my time. Actually, I've had a lot of bad ideas in my time, like shaving the sides of my head or creating a Bumble account. But this. This last episode is above and beyond bad ideas. Like this isn't even your regular everyday bad ideas. This is advanced bad ideas. This is like I went to college to develop bad ideas exclusively. Anyways, Jen literally smashes a bunch of underpaid Marvel security guards into a wall and breaks into a room full of screens where we finally meet Kevin. Of course, in the writer's oh so clever infinite wisdom, Kevin turns out to be an AI, and the name Kevin stands for, are you ready for this? Knowledge Enhanced Visual Interconnectivity Nexus. And of course, it even looks like it's wearing a little hat, just like Kevin Feige does. Jen is told that she's very expensive and the visual effects team has already moved on, so she transforms from She-Hulk back into just Jen. So Kevin insists that his algorithm is perfect and always produces a nearly perfect product. Bullshit. Sorry, I had something stuck in my throat. Jen tells Kevin that she's unhappy with her show, that she doesn't need her finale to be some big spectacle with real plot. This is just supposed to address her life and her balancing herself as She-Hulk and Jen. So she has Todd Hulk eliminated from the plot, Smart Hulk is removed and saved for a movie, Abomination is just supposed to be held accountable for his actions, and she says that she wants to see Daredevil again because a woman has needs. Again, our boy is literally just a plaything in this show. I get it, Daredevil got around in the comics, more power to him, but this is literally just reducing his entrance into the MCU to him being Jen's bone buddy, and that I just won't get behind. Now, it's here that we get a brief suggestion that season 2 might be happening, which almost brings me to tears, and Jen takes a moment to boast that while Hulk smashes buildings, she smashes the fourth wall, bad endings, and she also smashes Matt Murdock. It's a shame that she wasn't also gifted with the ability to smash bad TV shows, because then we would have been spared like 8 episodes of this crap. Anyways, we finally cut back to Jen's edit of this show, where Todd and the intelligentsia guys are all being arrested. Jen storms over to him while Titania eagerly records, but she holds back and tells him, hey, I'll see you in court. Daredevil falls into the scene. I mean, literally, he literally just drops out of the sky into the grass, and he's told that the action is done. He's missed it. The last thing we see from this moment is Blonsky being sent back to prison for the next 10 years. From here, we skip to a barbecue at Jen's parents' house, where Matt Murdock is apparently an invited guest, and he's being harassed by her family about how little money he makes, and how expensive it'll be to raise kids in LA. And you know what? This proves that Jen's family isn't accidentally misogynistic, they're just really annoying. Oh, and how could I forget? By the way, Bruce shows up as Smart Hulk, saying that he's been spending all this time on Sakaar, and introduces everybody to his son, Scar. For those who don't know, Scar is a setup and a reference to Planet Hulk, which I'm sure is a movie we can all look forward to. Well, who am I kidding? We won't look forward to it. We'll just reluctantly buy tickets and then complain online about how bad it was. After this bombshell, we catch up with Jen as she walks up to court, now in She-Hulk form. She's been cleared of all the charges, and while she speaks to a reporter, she lets him know that she's gonna be taking on criminals who harm innocent people, both in court and as a hero. Oh, and I'm sure she'll definitely be destroying a bunch of property and probably hurting innocent people in the process, because that's what a hero does. We also get a post-credits scene here where Wong rescues Emil Blonsky from prison once again and says that he's just been trapped in another show. And that's it. That is the end of episode 9. That is the end of season 1 of She-Hulk. Beyond the fact that from the very beginning, this show was poorly written with no real sense of direction, burdened with unlikable characters with nothing better to do than to spout cringy dialogue, the result somehow was an ending even more pointless and unsatisfying than the rest of the show. And yet, you know what? You gotta give Disney a round of applause, because they somehow got another 2 months of Disney Plus subscription payments from a group of people who have done nothing but complain about this series from the very beginning. This absolute dumpster fire of a series is both a grim and bold reminder of just how far we've come from the days of lining up for those midnight premieres and eagerly waiting for the spoiler embargoes to lift so that we could discuss with fellow fans online. We're now in the era of Marvel producing and serving up absolute trash just because they can, and antagonizing dedicated fans with legitimate opinions because it's easier than accepting that what they've put out is subpar. Watching this every Thursday for the past 9 weeks was a special form of torture. But you know what? I'm glad that we could go on this journey together. We're family now. We're like every person that's ever been spit on by a llama, part of an elite group that can come together to over one mutually shared unpleasant experience. To those of y'all that have watched and complained with me, I thank you so much for making this worth it, and I hope you'll stay with me for future releases, good and bad. To those of y'all that decided to white knight for a big green lady produced by a multi-billion-dollar corporation, thank you so much for all your petty comments and for your views. You boosted my engagement and gave me something to do. That's all from me. I've been Snarky J. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know your thoughts on the season finale of She-Hulk in the comments below. It's done! It's done!